In the last few versions of PowerPoint, Microsoft has added some new features that really didn't exist in PowerPoint in the past. In particular, a new plugin called Mix adds some great new features which allow for screen and video capture. And if you do subscribe to Office 365, you will be getting regular updates to the software as well. So let's jump into some of those features now. A great new option that PowerPoint has added is called Icons. This can be accessed by going along the top navigation to Insert, and then just going to the Icons section. This will open up a pop-up window with a bunch of different icons that you can choose from. They're sorted here based on topics and themes, or you can just scroll along the side and select the ones that you want. I'm just going to pick here a few of them and add them and do Insert. Now what's great about these icons is that they're completely scalable. So I could make this one as large as I'd like and it doesn't go fuzzy at all. You can also change the color to completely match with your theme or branding. I'm just going to go up here to the graphic fill and I'm just going to choose our green. I'm going to make this particular icon purple, and I can also alter it in terms of adding shadow or bevels. So if you're doing buttons or any kind of more interesting features on your slide, it's easily done with these particular icons. Next, let's take a look at the photo album feature. This has existed for a few versions of PowerPoint, but it's just been getting better every version. I'm just going to go along the top to Photo Album and click New Photo Album. And from here, a pop-up window will appear, which will allow me to go onto my local computer and select the images that I want to include in this particular photo album. It could be as many or as little as you'd like. And you'll see that they'll appear here, and I can actually check the ones that I want to include, and you'll see them here in the preview. I can choose the order in which they appear, and I can make some basic editing. I can also decide whether the image is going to be large and scaled up to fit the slide, or whether there's going to be a few images on each slide. I can even decide if I want all the images to be black and white. Now, the thing to keep in mind about this photo album feature is that it actually generates a whole new presentation file. Let me show you. So once I've selected the images that I want, I can even pick a theme. I'm going to make ours a gallery theme. So we'll just do some basic choices here, and I'm going to click Create. And now you'll see that we're actually in a completely new presentation, Presentation 3. You can go back in and save it as something different. But basically, PowerPoint has gone through and put each image on its own slide because I told it to. I could have also told it to do 1, 2, or 3 images per slide. This is a great feature if you wanted to create sort of a photo album for an event very quickly without having to insert an image on each individual slide. Now let's take a look at a great new feature called a Morph transition. Say you're in a situation where you wanted to have some basic animation on your slide where things were kind of moving from one place to the other, but you didn't want to get into all the details of actually animating it. What a morph transition does is it allows you to basically have 2 slides that are very similar and kind of morph the content from one into the other. Let me show you how that works. Here I have 2 slides that have very similar content. On the second one though, I'm going to move these words so that they're on different areas of the slide. I'm just going to move this one as well. Very good. So now we have both this slide and this slide. Now I'm going to go along the top to Transitions, and I'm going to make sure that these 2 slides are selected within my thumbnail view, and then I'm going to select the Morph option. So when I actually go to, I'm going to have to show you in the actually presentation view. Let me go up along the top to presentation view. And let me just push us forward to that particular slide. So here's our first slide. And there's the morph into our second slide. So you see how it kind of almost looks like animation, but PowerPoint actually did all the work for you. Recently, PowerPoint added a great new plugin called the Mix. It adds a whole sort of different suite of features that didn't really exist in PowerPoint in the past. So I've installed the plugin in my version of PowerPoint, and now I can go along the top and there'll be a tab for Mix. When I click on that, you'll see I'll have some options here. Now, let me talk about the slide recording first. When I click on it, it's actually going to open up a whole new sort of platform for me. In this window, basically, I can present my presentation and record myself talking. I can even have a video of myself talking. This is a great opportunity. Say you're doing some training or you wanted to create a video where you talked yourself through a particular presentation. There's also features for like drawing arrows or circling information. So lots of practical uses in terms of training, creating videos, that kind of thing. And once you're done the recording, what's great is that PowerPoint will actually save this as PowerPoint's naming it as a mix. It's basically a video file. But what's great is it provides you an online platform to save all these video files because they can get quite large. I'm just going to close out of this. Now let's take a look at some of the other features that exist within the Mix Navigation tab. There is an option to add quizzes and polls to your slides. When I click on this, it opens up a pop-up window with a bunch of other sort of plugins that you can work with to add these polls and quizzes to your presentation. Now keep in mind, these are all sort of third-party, and each of them have different features and benefits and function sort of differently. So you're gonna have to go into each of them, and you can see they're rated by users. So you have to kind of go in and see how each of them work, but there are great new features, in particular if you're using your PowerPoint for training. Another great new option is the opportunity to do a screen recording. By clicking on this screen recording, it's basically going to take me to my most recent screen that I was using. So you got to keep that in mind before you click the button. So I was on my web page, so I'm going to actually click on screen recording, and you'll see that it'll open me up in my last screen, and it'll give me some options here on the top. I can select where I want the recording to happen, and I can select whether there's audio, whether I want a pointer. So I'm just going to record a little bit of me surfing on this website. Oh, it's going to give me a countdown. And I'm going to just scroll through, and I might click on some buttons. And it's sort of recording all this information, which is great. After I've done my screen recording, PowerPoint automatically imports it into my slide. And you can see here, like any other video, I can scale it. And I can use all the other features that exist for any video tool. So I'm going to select my video and go along the top to video tools. And I can edit it, and I can play around with the playback features. I'm going to go back along the top to mix. Now, in addition to doing a video capture, I can also just do a screenshot. So say I want to do a screen capture of a website, I could go here to screenshot and get a screen clipping. And it'll just open up a website that I was at, and then I can go through and get a screen capture, and you'll see it'll automatically import that screen capture directly into PowerPoint. Again, a great feature if you're doing some training and you want to quickly add websites or screen captures of software into your presentation. Now let's finish up with the last few features that exist within the Mix Navigation. Once you've created your screen recordings within this slide recording feature, it actually creates this area called Mix. And so you could upload all of these to your Office Cloud Drive. And by using this button, My Mixes, you can easily access this particular area of the cloud where all your recordings are being kept. Now let's look into the last feature that PowerPoint has added called the Zoom. You can access the Zoom feature by going along the top to Insert, and then just going across to the Zoom option. You'll see we have some options here in terms of a summary zoom, a sectional zoom, and a slide zoom. So let's look at a summary zoom first. Now keep in mind, when you play with this zoom feature, it's important to create a sort of copy of your original presentation because PowerPoint is going to make some significant changes to the sequence and the structure of your presentation when you use this zoom option. So I'm going to start with showing you the summary zoom. When I select Summary Zoom, a pop-up window will appear, which will show me all the slides within my presentation. Now, the Summary Zoom basically generates a new slide where some of these slides will exist as sort of mini slides, and I can just click on them and they'll zoom in. It's a great new feature. Let me show you. So I'm going to select this slide and this slide and this slide to be my Zoom slides, and I select Insert. So PowerPoint has done some major changes to my presentation. You'll see here in my thumbnail, they've now sorted it into different groupings. You'll also see that they've generated some mini versions of these particular slides. Now, to really see the power of how the Zoom feature works, we need to go to the presentation view. Let me show you. We're going to go up here to the presentation and just move ourselves forward to that part. So here's our Zoom slide that we've created. So let me show you. I could just take my mouse. This is a great feature for training, or say you had a sales presentation that you wanted to have on a tablet and have your client click through it. So I'm going to actually click on it, and you'll see I zoom right into it. And then when I'm done, I can just click again and it takes me back out. I could go to this one, click, and it zooms me into the slide. Same thing, I click and I zoom out, and I could do the same thing for this third one. So this is a great new feature. I'm just going to escape to get out of that. Let's take a look at some of the other options that exist within the Zoom tool. I'm just going to go along here at the top to the Zoom option, and we have the summary zoom, which we just looked at. We also have a sectional zoom and a slide zoom. Let's show you how the section zoom works. I'm just going to go here to the top where I've created a new slide, and then I'm going to select the section zoom. This opens up a pop-up window which basically coincides with the sections that I've determined in my presentation. I can then select which slides I want to show up in my agenda. I could select few, or I could just select them all and click Insert. PowerPoint will generate basically a mini version of this particular slide, as well as linking it to that slide so it's easy to access. So let me just set them up here on the slide. Now again, to really try out these features, we have to go to the presentation view. So I'm just going to go here to presentation view. And now you'll see we're on our agenda slide. I can actually click on this slide and it will take me in, and I can click and it'll fade me back out. I could click on this one, zooms me in and zooms me out. Same thing with this one, and this one has one within one, so I can zoom into that one. So it's a great feature that you could actually click in and add a whole bunch of more dynamic elements to your presentation. The last zoom option we're going to cover is the slide zoom. So this basically creates a link to another slide within your presentation and allows you to zoom to it. So I'm just going to go to slide zoom, and you'll see it pops up all the slides within my presentation. And I can choose to add a particular slide, insert. And then when I go to my presentation mode, I can actually click on that slide and it will zoom me to that particular slide. And it will take me to that point in the presentation and move me forward. So what you'll see as I move forward, it took me to, I'm going to take us to, here's our slide. And it actually jumped us to slide 7, which then moved us through 8 and 9 and so forth. So say there was a presentation that you had for sales and you wanted to make sure that a client, if they chose a certain button, took them to a certain point in a presentation. This is a great feature that allows you to do that. I hope you found all these new features helpful.